Baroness Angela Smith was asked by the BBC host on Politics Live to clarify what Labour's policy on the current universal credit system is. He asked, "Is it Labour's policy to scrap it?" but the response he got was puzzling, to say the least. Ms. Smith began, I think there are some calls for scrapping the system we have now, but you have to put something in place, and if we have this system, major fundamental reform and change is needed." After a short silence, in which the former leader of the Tories, Ian Duncan Smith, hung his head in apparent despair, Mr. Neil asked again. He said, "Right, but what's Labour's policy?" The Lord replied, "To have major fundamental reform and change it." The BBC host tried to clarify, "So not to scrap it, to have fundamental reform?" Baroness Smith appeared on BBC Politics Live, image, BBC, but Mrs. Smith did little to elucidate, saying, "Well, you start to get into angels on a pinhead stuff here." A weary Andrew Neil said, "No, you don't. If you scrap something, you scrap something. If you have fundamental reform." "I'm trying to clarify because you're dancing on the edge of a pinhead." Laughing, Baroness Smith retorted, "No, I can clarify. If you're talking about this system as it is now, it is not working in the interests of most people." An exasperated panel appears to sigh in collective disbelief before Mr. Neil embarks on a last-ditch attempt to ask the simple question. He said, "No, we know that. I'm asking what you would do, but to no avail." Mrs. Smith's response is again vague and hypothetical. She replied, "If you're going to change it, it has to be fundamental. It may well be unrecognizable." Economist Anne McElvoy consequently blasted, "But then we're back to square one." The debacle came just one day after BBC Newsnight presenter, Evan Davies, grilled the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Peter Dowd, on what Labour's plan is for universal credit, after conflicting comments about the policy. The government's universal credit rollout for the benefit system has come under intense scrutiny after reports came out that its introduction has increased homelessness and use of food banks. The Conservatives, however, have promised a £1 billion cash injection for universal credit to address genuine concerns.